Hey y'all, hey, I'm Jay.
I'm C.
And welcome to the JNC's room. Hey y'all, hey. Thank you for coming. Thank you for joining us. As you know, I am Jay. This is
C.
Thank you for coming back. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe,
Like,
share, comment. Click on that notification bell.
Email us your stories.
Definitely. Click on that notification bell so you know when we drop another video, because we want you to keep coming here and giving us how you feel about these topics.
Mm-hmm.
Whether we right, whether we wrong. Give your own perspective.
She's always wrong.
Hater.
So today, we're going to be talking about a topic.
Okay.
Being a product of your upbringing versus taking control of your life.
Yes.
Now, when I heard this, it's like what your mom or your daddy did to you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or what kind of environments did you grow up?
Mm-hmm.
Was you touched a little bit? Was you bullied? Like, oh my God, remember that show we talking about now?
Yeah.
Was you bullied? Was like, what happened to you? Why are you such a mess?
Yeah.
And do you even know that you're a mess? Or are you still blaming the person that bullied you? Mm-hmm. And now you're not gonna bully no more, but you still are feeling that trauma. Or is your parents' bad decisions in their life when it's so many things in this topic.
Yeah.
And I would love for y'all to chip in and tell us how y'all feel. We're going to get into this topic, So
the other day, right?
Yes.
I have to give this story to kind of like open up like how this, because when I first thought about this topic, I really thought about the obvious like daddy, mommy issues, and that's it. But there's way more to that. But what like made this topic so kind of like, blink. It was like, yeah, this needs to be talked about. I was taking a bus, right? And some lady was sitting on the bench. It was raining or whatever the case is. And the first thing she started out with was like, well, thank goodness, it's not cold New York weather. Da, da, da. So I'm like, oh yeah, definitely. Small talk.
Mm-hmm.
But then she began to like talk, and I had like to the point where I had to take my headphone out my ear, and she just began to trauma dump on me, which is like she started from like, yeah, it's cold, to like,
you are a therapist.
I know, but I wasn't even talking to her. Like, but this happens to me. Like,
your energy says, yeah, tell me your life.
Yeah, it does, because people really come to me and they trauma dump. It's crazy how many times that happens to me. But so it went from that to like, oh, my father abused me and I left him, but then I had to come back and my sister didn't deal with it. And this is why I had to go back, and he continued to abuse me the rest of my life. He abused me because his mother abused me. And I'm at the point where like, I don't want to live anymore. This lady is about like a good late 70 and like just unloaded.
You said late 70s?
She was late 70s. She was old. Like, but like old,
and never got past her stuff.
Yeah, and so like as she's talking, she's just like, yo, I just don't want to live anymore. And I kept saying to her, like, sometimes you kind of have to look at your life differently and rewrite your story so that you don't
look at that, a woman.
You get what I'm
you're
saying?
Half that lady's age.
But it's the truth.
Age doesn't matter.
You get what I'm saying? It was just like, yo, you can't look at your life and always blame this person, and this is the reason why now life is miserable. Yeah. So like, and I kept trying to tell her that, and she was just like, well, no, life keeps getting worse, and what's happening now? The youth is horrible, and the youth, like, it just kept on. So like, it's, this upbringing it's more than just the daddy and mommy issues, but like, of course, like you said, the environment that you was raised up in, and what values you inherited or kind of just continued with in life, And I feel like regardless of your upbringing, whether it's good or bad, your parents, your environment, they all affect how you move with money, relationships, yourself, and just life. You get what I'm saying? And it's crazy that like, this lady is in her late 70s.
And she needs 911.
And like,
she needs $1 therapist.
For real though.
She needs her soul prayed on.
You get what I mean? And it's just.
And she might just need some dick too.
I mean, she might, but but in reality, who knows if she even see like positivity in getting some dick. She might get some dick and still be like on some like you know what that is, to say to a stranger like, I'm already at the point where like I'm ready to like not live anymore. That's crazy. I mean, it's totally understandable that people suffer from like and struggle with mental health disorders or whatever the case is, and mental health like issues, but it's just this way of living and letting your upbringing depict how you're gonna look at life. That's the part that is just like it. I just don't. I just feel that people should work on getting better at that, healing from that. You get what I mean? Because you only choose to be in them. And the crazy part is, she was talking to me, and I felt like I was talking to one of my homegirls in an older state. If she doesn't get over the whatever she's going through now, because
what are you trying to say?
You gotta let go. You gotta let go. You have to heal. Like it's always that, and people don't let go of the bad of their upbringing. Because I'm not gonna say, the good of our upbringing also forms us. You get what I'm saying? For real.
So, because you said so much, man.
Yeah, I know.
I can't even unpack that. I have to just let that stay in this package. UPS gotta come lift that.
I'm telling you.
You know what I'm saying? UPS gotta come lift that hoe.
Gotta go.
But on some real stuff, let me say this. This is the first thing I think we all need to do. Stop making excuses. Stop making excuses. Take accountability. Understand your issue and try to come to a solution. Because finger pointing is what Adam and Eve did.
Yeah.
Nobody said, man, I wasn't supposed to eat that fig. I wasn't supposed to eat that fruit. Nah, they just said, she told me to do it. Now the snake told me to do it. It's all nothing but excuses. So for me, stop making excuses, take accountability, and that's the first step. And understand where it started from.
Big time.
Understand like where this bad seed grew from. Like, it's already bad that, let's talk about the minority. Black people. We're a minority. We're only 14% of the population. So we came into this joint on an L.
Yeah.
And we gonna leave on an L too. Unless we change.
Yeah.
Unless we strive. Unless we empower ourselves and those things. You know what I'm saying? So take accountability. Stop making excuses. And know where it started from. And start the process of figuring out how to solve it. And during that time, what she said, talk to a therapist, talk to someone, understand how to heal. Healing ain't something you're gonna do on your own.
And it doesn't happen overnight either. It's a whole process. It's a long process. You get what I mean? But like, I think like one of the things of healing is just not holding on too much of like the negative. Like the negative is there, you can't. You get what I'm saying? But like holding on to it, it don't not only like affects you mentally, it takes a toll on your body. You get what I'm saying? It your health, deteriorates when you are just holding on to negativity, holding on to that inner turmoil, and just kind of like letting it just fester inside. You get what I mean? And
letting that joint ball up in you now.
For real.
Then it's to the point where you can't even take control of your life no more.
Yeah.
Because it overwhelms you now. Now you live. It's like, what's crazy?
What?
This is a story. You talked about a story. Now, this is kind of personal. So it's just like for example, women having daddy issues, right?
Big time.
But then, because their father didn't show them love, now they approach all men with no love.
Yeah.
And don't understand how to love. And all you're doing is continuing the cycle. There's no evolution to you. Now you became a result of
Yeah, upbringing.
Of the upbringing. And you're not even breaking the mold. Now, because of your relationship with your father, now your relationship with your son suffers. Now, and I'm only speaking of an example. I'm just not putting a name on it. But now, because of your relationship with your father, you never had a man past a certain point. You ain't been nothing but a mistress. Now you at the finish line in life, and you alone.
And then there's the other part of that also, whereas you don't have any love from your father, and now you reach out to so many men and give them so much love that they take advantage of you, and you don't value yourself and you don't value your worth.
She's talking about.
You know what I mean? There's several.
She's talking about I'm actually talking about specific example.
Well, I'm the specific of that. I'm the specific example.
I know,
but you know what I mean.
But I'm not even talking about you.
Yeah,
I'm talking about I'm saying
in
like
general.
Now, because of her relationship with her father, she doesn't have a relationship with her son. Because she doesn't know how to love a man. How can you love a son if you're not loving a man? You
or
never
just how to
learned
give
that from
love,
your pops.
period.
Huh?
Or how to give love, period.
Exactly.
Like
so
that's
now
what it really is.
It's just an ongoing thing. It takes someone to just say it has to stop here.
I mean, also realizing like one of the things I had said to this lady, and I've been saying to a lot of my friends, is like, your upbringing is your upbringing. And unfortunately, one thing that is not given to, now it's given to parents more than back then. And my mother had said this to me the other day too, like, parents weren't given a handbook on how to raise children. The only example they had was the example, you know what I mean, prior to them. There was no like guide on like, do this for your kid, do this to try to teach them that, do this to try to help them out here, or whatever the case is.
The Cosby's is not an example.
Basically, that was probably the only positive example for the black community.
Family matters.
Yeah,
let's be real. Both parents got good jobs.
Basically, it was circumstances that we weren't.
Perfect world.
Basically, circumstances that a lot of people wasn't living with. But one of the things that like people have to realize is your parents wasn't given a handbook. So they were doing the best that they thought that they were doing. Unfortunately, in some cases, it's fucked up. You get what I mean? But you have to realize that like it wasn't it's kind of like not taking it personal, which is it's kind of hard to say because you're kind of the victim, the person in the situation. But it's kind of like this is all they knew, So when you look at it from that perspective, like I had told you the story about my father, where I didn't realize that I had like an epiphany when I was talking to one of my homegirls trying to explain his like warped way of thinking. I was making some soup or whatever the case is. Afro Latina Spanish. You've been cooking since you was about like 6 years old, making full course meals. So cooking soup or whatever the case is, I had to have been like 11 or 12 at the time. And he said to me, he tasted it and the soup was good. And he said to me, oh, mamita, he was just like, yeah, you got to make some good soup so that your husband don't hit you. And now in my mind at 12, I was just like, wow, you don't think I'm like, I don't deserve a man that's going to treat me better. One, as I got older, it was more like, this is all he knew. And then it wasn't until like I actually talked to my homegirl to be like, oh shit. This was his way of trying to protect his children. Because in his mind, this is just the dynamic of a marriage where a man hits on their wife. Because, third world countries, it's a totally different world out there.
It's not just a third world country. I mean, they do that here. And he's in that age range where they were doing that.
Yeah, basically where it was just like, this is life. Yeah. This is how it is. So like in his mind was like, I'm going to teach you how to make this soup. So therefore this prevents you from getting hit. And it's like, of course, and this is not me talking from like a victim. This is more of talking from like, this was how it made sense in his head. So it's just like, when you think about that, it's like, can I really now take this and this be the reason of why I'm going to be angry? This is the reason why I'm going to be hurt. And I'm just going to live like this and continue the cycle of just being with either men that don't value me or men that, feel that it's good to put their hands on me. You get what I mean? It's more of breaking that cycle. there are good parts to your upbringing. Like I'm not gonna.
And here's a catch-22. You got women that will drive a man to doing that because that's what they think is love.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean by it's just so crazy. So like we're talking about the parental thing. Yeah. Let's talk about the other stuff.
Okay.
Let's talk about all your homegirls at a young age, 12, 13, and they see their sister hooking and jiving. Or they see I see my bros, selling, doing this. And you're not realizing until it's too late that you shouldn't be doing this.
Yeah. And
this is what I mean by upbringing, because if you live in a single parent household, you might not got a strong man that's an example of going out there, working a hard working job. And you see him every day. You're understanding that freedom is that he's coming home every day. Your mother's working every day. They're coming home, providing for the home. And this is a good way of doing it. Nah, you see your homeboy coming to school with the fly stuff. You see the homegirl coming to school with a nice purse, a nice jacket, and nice clothes. And now you're looking at them like rivals. And now you're trying to aspire to be like them. You're conversating. Think about it, right? The whole Paid in Full movie was based on Mitch and Ace. Ace saw how Mitch was getting the money, and he said, somebody came to him and said, yo, you look like you want to get some money to do. Gave him that. And now Ace is out here like, I'm trying to get that nice car like him. Because his upbringing around him, he see all this money making. His mother ain't, struggling to survive. The father ain't around. And if he wasn't around, he left early. He doesn't have a good example of what it's like to do this or what it's like to do that. I'm the perfect example of that. My parents is crazy. Goo Goo Gaga. Looney Tune. Bugs with no bunny. Daffy and no duck.
Boy said bugs with no bunny. Okay.
It's not funny either.
It's not, but and I'm going to say this about you, and it's not me trying to toot your horn, but it's one of my points on how to do this. You're an alchemist. And now the rule.
I'm not no alchemist, y'all. No.
Listen. I'm gonna, because I've got the definition. Because I was like, you know what? I'm gonna write the definition because they're gonna say what it is. So the real meaning of an alchemist, right, is a form of speculative thought that among others aim and try to basically transform base metals into like silver or gold. So now how they doing that? No, but how that is like now to you in a metaphorical way, it's kind of like you transforming everything in your upbringing to now still be able to live in life and still move forward and not let any of that hold you back. I say this to you all the time that Tia and my mom kind of remind me of the same person because they're both like miracles. They both came from crazy backgrounds, but they're still like positive, and still kind of loving to people, and they still they're for the well-being of people. You get what I mean?
That's how you feel about me?
Yeah, he a bit of an asshole, but but he's a great person. And most people that are faced with those obstacles at a very young age, at an older age, they are not like. There's many people who can't. The old lady that trauma dumped on me. She faced a whole bunch of stuff, and you can see it on her. She walked with like a heaviness and like misery. You're an alchemist. And that's how people should along with the good parts of your upbringing, just not letting everything from that, from the negativity, the environment where you see somebody hooking.
I'm looking down, but I'm actually thinking. She's giving me something to think about. This is how I think, y'all. I mean, put that away. Finish what you were saying.
Seeing people hooking or seeing a dude, slinging rocks or whatever the case is, turning all of that into just things that will make you push forward in life positively, make you say like, I'm gonna take control of my life. Just because this is it doesn't mean that that's all there is. You get what I mean? Yeah. What you thinking about? What you was over there?
I see how you use alchemist, and you know I'm a definition.
Yeah, I know the actual definition is that, but in reality, when
but
it
I get
comes
the magic
to
behind what you're saying.
basically,
she's using it. You know, I get it
metaphorically.
I got it. I'm gonna veer off a little bit. You know, one of the things that all people need to understand is what triggers you.
Yeah.
Like, for me, my mother gets me. She's the only one that could get me out of pocket. Like out of pocket, I mean, like quickly. Like people can get me out of pocket, but it takes it's a build up. Like I know my mother gets me out of pocket like that, like flick of the switch. Father, he can't get me out of pocket like that. But is that because I love her so much, or is it because I'm just so disappointed in her? And I'm not asking for y'all for an answer. Yeah. I'm saying that myself. You know what I'm saying? I question these things. So me, as a man, that's why my flaws come from. As a man, I have no patience with women. Why? Because mommy issue. So, am I working on it? Yes, I am. But that's understanding the trigger and working towards it. What did I tell you about that trigger? I said I'm working on it because you got to understand your triggers. Like me, it's easy for me a lot, but I have to, like, it's easy for me, but it's really hard for me to laugh about nothing serious. Like I blatantly rather tell the truth. And it's to the point where when I lie, I have to think about when I did it and be like, damn, because I don't lie often. It's like maybe once every 2 years, and it's usually to protect somebody's feelings. It's never because I'm trying to deceive them or something. It's always to protect someone's feelings, and I do it once in a while. And I don't do it every year. I don't do it but because you know why I don't like lying? Because my parents lie so much.
Upbringing. See?
So now I try to break that. By trying to be truthful. Like as a child, I started living with my mother, and I started building the habit of lying to where my father had to break it out of me. But it's crazy when a person that lies is trying to break a habit of lying out of you. It's like, but I didn't know that as a child. You know, 16, 15, 17. I didn't know that as a child.
But it's true. Like you do have to see like your triggers and like what makes you tick. But at this, I just feel like also remembering the good of your upbringing. Also remembering like what your upbringing, like the values, the good values that it instilled in you. Or like, for example, you just said like the whole like because they lied so much and what you know, how you went through it, you now are like, I'm not going to lie. I mean, you get what I mean? These are things that everyone should be doing.
But like these things I'm telling you about, listen, I'm strong-willed in the mom. Yeah. I'm a different character. So like everybody is not the same as me or her, or same as me, or same as someone on the street. Yeah. Like I'm saying these things as I'm opening up about it, but I'm not really like that though. So for me, you got to understand your triggers. That's number one. You understand, like I said, you got to take accountability, stop making excuses, understand where this all started from. And understand your triggers. Understand why you're so mad. Why are you so frustrated? And then understanding how to get to a better place. Understand that, you know, you can't really blame them. Because this might have been started 200 years ago. This might have been started because of slavery. This might have been started because of something else.
Generational curse.
And like it's real. Like you really gotta.
For real.
It's some serious stuff we talking about right now.
And that's why it's just like, even though it might sound, I feel like it sounds a little, not cliche, I feel like it sounds a little insensitive to say like, don't take it personal, or it's not just, me, I said that because I was going to say like, because it's the truth. Like you can't, it's bigger than you. This could have started years ago. It's unfortunate.
What do I always tell you?
What?
We are nothing but a grain of sand on the beach. Yeah. And at our time, it's nothing in existence of life in general. Mm-hmm. So if you want to sit up here and whine and moan, there's nothing wrong with that. I don't think there's nothing wrong with you. Well, like we said before, seek therapy, seek retreats, seek that refuge that can help you grow
Seek your solution.
And on top of that, sometimes talking to your parents don't help.
Well,
because they don't not real with it.
Well, I'll say.
Sometimes
it does, because I'll say that, like, me and, like, in my situation where it took a couple of years for me and my mother to talk about, like, some of the abuse that she endured, I endured, and all of it, but it took some time, and it took explaining to her in different ways, and it helped us get closer. Of course, there's certain things that we will not agree on and the perspective, but being able to talk about it, I will say, like, with her, has done a lot for me. But it's truth sometimes, because I can talk to my father, he ain't never gonna get it. Like, you can't tell that.
Listen,
man.
I done tried with my mama.
You're like like some parents, I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about, because in their mind they did the best they could. They did the best they could, and that's really it. But once again, I agree with that. It's just like, if you're gonna whine about it and it's really hurting you, it's like you need to seek solution and get past it.
You know what's crazy though? Some parents' goal was just for you to get out of high school. Some parents' goals was just you alive at this point right now.
Yeah.
Some parents' goals, things changed.
Mm-hmm.
Like, my mom, her biggest thing is you get out of high school.
Yeah.
I'm like, high school?
Like, that's just the beginning.
That's
like, that's just the beginning.
High school? That's the crown achievement. High school? Nigga, what? Nigga, who? Nigga, what? Like,
no, for real.
Like, that's what I mean by, and you know what's crazy? It's because the failure rate in comparison to your demographic in the area, it's so low that my mother just wanted me to achieve high school. Like, if I was Korean.
Well, I don't even, would you call it failure rate, or would you call it just, what is it? Like, lack of a bigger picture, like lack of achievement.
I'm just comparing to different cultures. If I was Asian, Korean, Japanese, Chinese,
the high school be.
You told me this earlier.
Yeah.
If I'd have got a 98.
Yeah. I was telling him about a kid, like, because he was watching the show, and I was saying how, like, the standards of Asian communities is so much, like, it's a crazy pressure. I remember being in junior high school, and there was a Asian kid, and he was Korean, and he had got a 98. He got, like, one of the highest scores in the class, and because he got a 98, this dude had a whole breakdown, ripped the test, and he was just disappointed. And it's true. It's culture as well. Like, but once again, though, some of their upbringings are not easy. So then this is kind of like
no.
The
what
failure
I'm doing
rate.
is giving a parallel.
Yeah.
Listen, it's crazy everywhere.
It is.
What I'm trying to say is, it's just crazy how the standards is so different drastically. I still got friends that didn't graduate from high school. You know what I'm saying? More power to them. I love them. That's my dudes. That's my female friends. Like, those are my Jews. Mm-hmm. And more power to them. But at the end of the day, it does not define your character.
Basically.
You know what I'm trying to say? Like, I know people older than me still living with their parents. Mm-hmm. I am just turned 37. Still live with their parents. But if there was a boy, total different kind of conversation. And you know some dudes doing that.
I was just about to be like, nowadays though, like, it just depends, because that's a whole different conversation. We have a whole culture of, mothers kind of like over feminizing their sons and them. You get what I mean?
You gotta teach me about that subject, because I don't know.
It's a lot of them. There's a lot of the dudes that do live with their mothers and live with their grandmothers.
Over feminizing
guys,
children's household.
Yeah, basically. So
what would be the opposite for women as a topic?
Over masculine. There's a whole bunch. We're masculine.
Hope you write that down, man.
All right,
because this is gold. She's dropping, y'all.
Masculine women and feminized men.
Them girls are super independent. They think they can arm wrestle me.
But that's part of. What's the crazy part is that's part of upbringing as well. I had a serious conversation with some of my homegirls and kind of let her know, like, a lot of us were raised in single women homes, right? So without knowing it, the idea of living is you don't need a man. Don't ask no. For some of us, don't you ever ask a man for anything. You do whatever you need to do. You hold down the house or what. And it was this this silent idea of you don't need a man to do anything. And in reality,
I need a woman.
I mean, I need a man. We do need men just as much as men need women. Like, we need men. But when you grow up in that, and on top of it, depending on what's going on, depending on what kind of abuse is going on, you know, you kind of build this, you build this mentality because you don't want it to happen again.
Mm-hmm.
You get what I mean? So you're masculine. But then, you know, and some family homes, boys are let to do whatever they want to do. They ain't got to do nothing, and they could just stay home and just, you know, it's crazy. Totally different topic.
So like,
but you see,
so like, I got one thing I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
And I think I said this earlier. Stopping the continuous bad habits that was started by previous generations. Let's start a new habit or a new seed to nature, to fertilize, to grow.
I like that.
You know what I'm saying? So
I said, and it's kind of the same thing. Like, my last thing was more of like, you can't change the influences that affected you. The only thing you can change is how you move through with the future. It's the same thing. It's more of like, you gotta let it go. You gotta forgive also. And when I say forgive, I don't say forgive for the other person, because it doesn't matter. It's more forgiving for you, yourself, so that you're not living with that turmoil.
Forgiving is a blessing.
Yeah, it definitely is.
Letting go. You don't forget.
Yeah.
You can't, like, I ain't saying forget, but forgiving in itself is it's like a musa. So I'm gonna wrap up some of the things I was talking about.
Okay.
Taking accountability for damage that was done and striving to heal, striving to learn, striving to overcome. Stop making excuses. Take accountability. And there's nothing wrong with getting help. Sometimes you might need to get help before you can even do any of the things I just said prior.
Very true.
And if you live in and this is not just parent issues, daddy, mommy issues. I'm talking about life issues.
Environmental.
Like you know what it's like to always have to go to a pantry to eat out of? Like some kids ain't never in their childhood was able to just say, like, they used to just Salvation Army clothes. Used to this type of life. Like, and it's sad. You know what I'm saying? Be that child or be that person that's gonna rise to overcome, rise to succeed.
Be an alchemist.
You got some people, right, that never had nothing growing up, and the first thing they do when they go get the good job, they get the money. Now they the flyest person ever, because they want to counter their childhood. Now they got the nice car, now they got the fly crib, but now they're not dealing with their bills correctly, because they want to get that image that they wish they had as a child. It's so many variables. Yeah. You have to understand why you feel the way you feel. What's your drive? Where your drive coming from? Is it coming from a positive standpoint or a negative standpoint? Understanding your psychology. You know what I mean? Your psychology.
Heal that inner child. And when I mean heal that inner child, I mean like heal that person inside. It's going back to like finding the solution and getting help. And if you can't afford the help or get the help, more of just ask yourself questions of like, I feel the worst when such and such and such, and write this stuff down, and then find the root of that, of that feeling, the triggers, all of it, and just taking time, talking to, I'll say a reasonable friend, you know what I mean? Sometimes that works also, but, it's all about you working on healing yourself, because you can have all the stuff that you want in the world, but just more of working on that inner child, as well as like, trying to rewrite your story. Try to see the positives and see how all of that stuff made you the person you are now, like the positive parts of what they made, you being able to function. And that's how I see it. Be an alchemist.
Understanding your triggers, understanding what gets you mad, understanding your triggers, understanding what makes you inspired. Aspiring to be better, knowing your flaws. Basically. Understanding your flaws and where they started from, and how to not fall back into doing those flaws. Not saying this is who I am and deal with it. No.
Yeah.
Try to be better. Like, try to be better. Like, for real, deep down, inside.
You don't want to be that late 70 lady at the bus stop telling somebody that you're ready to end life.
You don't want to be 60-something years old in a house by yourself and your kids don't like you. Yeah. You don't want to be
That's real talk.
40 years old finally realizing all the parental drama, or 37 years old and it's all the parental drama, and now that you're getting over it, now you're like, oh, I understand why I was behaving the way I was. Yeah. And now you ready to conquer. Now you're ready to have that family. But it might just be too late.
Basically. And if you are all these ages, 37, 40, 60.
22.
Start working on it. Start working on
it. It's never too late.
Forgiving and letting go. And rewriting your story in a positive light.
You gotta let it go.
You gotta let it go.
Woo. Do. Janet. It's another TKO. And then when you find out what it is, turn out the lights.
Okay.
And you know what I'm saying? You turn out the lights, you understand your problems. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna make some sweet love to you. You know that nigga. You know what I'm saying?
Guys, comment below. Tell us about your upbringing. If you feel comfortable enough, tell us how you feel about this topic. You know, anything that you did to strive to be better and to get through the stuff that you got through as well. You know, drop a comment.
Like and subscribe.
Subscribe.
Send us an email if you think we got something we can help you solve. Or you might have some ideas for us to improve our show.
For real. Definitely.
And number one, it's never too late.
Never
to
too
start
late.
Talking to someone about your issues, seek therapy, seek counsel. It's never too wrong to say, I've been messing up.
For real.
It's never too wrong to pick up the phone and somebody you did wrong to and apologize and understand that you did wrong.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing wrong with that. It's never wrong to say I'm sorry. It's never wrong to say I was wrong. Stop making excuses for what you do wrong and do what's right.
Basically.
Hello, good night. You tip your hat. And if you got some tips, throw that dollar in the hat.
Subscribe. Click on that bell so you know the next time we drop a video, so you can come and pull up.
And you know JNC love y'all, right? You know, sometimes we mess up. And sometimes we on point. But one thing we gonna do, we survive. You know what I'm saying?